Right. Jermaine Shoemake. Oh, I'm sorry. Umar Rashad Ibn Abdullah Johnson. Ifa Tunde. Whatever. Should have left this one alone. He should have stayed in his corner, pandering to women, telling them exactly what they want to hear, like so many before him. Think Oprah, Tyra, Steve Harvey, Dr. Phil, and all the rest. He chose not to. And so, once again, I find myself having to take him down. Unlike the last time, takedown of the HNICs, where it was light and I didn't have much to say, this time I'll be leaning in. So let's get started. And two things to note. Number one, as you have no doubt sensed, this is going to be a takedown video. This is going to be a dissecting video. But it's also going to be something else. It is going to be what I have termed a precision strike video. Meaning what? Meaning I scripted this entire thing out, including that intro you just heard. I want this thing to get I want this man to get the proper hellfire and brimstone that I'm pretty sure nobody else is giving him. And I wanted to get it from somebody who is not here to make money off YouTube, not here for the clicks, not here for the algorithm, not here for the likes and the AdSense. So I have nothing to lose. Okay. Next thing is, you will not be seeing my face, obviously. Just you'll be hearing my voice as you're hearing it now. You have more than likely seen the video in question. This is the short part. It is not going to be the long, hour-long, 2-hour, whatever the hell it was. That is part 2. I will not be going into that. And so, all you need to do is sit back, relax, listen, and pay attention. Even if you're doing something else, at least properly listen. You never know when you might hear something you will, no doubt, agree with. So, let's begin.
Speaking of that, I've seen a video of yours where you said that feminism has conditioned black women to view black men as the enemy.
It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA. Gloria, what was her name? Gloria Steinem, I think she was.
Right, yeah.
Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house and into the black household to turn the black woman against the black man. To scapegoat us for problems caused for her by white supremacy.
I don't know why any of that needed to be said, as no one asked, but fine. Also, feminism started in Europe, France specifically. Whoever that woman was that pushed it, I forgot her name, and I couldn't be bothered to go look it up. Couldn't get any traction over there, surprisingly, France of all places. So she packed up, came to America, linked up with someone over here, perhaps Susan B., and set up shop.
So, obviously, a big thing, obviously, we spoke about the gender wars, earlier. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation nowadays about, the value of what a woman brings and the value of what a man brings in a relationship. And now there's a lot more rhetoric from our women that we hear is, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, right? So,
That's pain speaking, though.
Right.
Because most black women know they will never get a man. A black woman can have sex whenever she wants.
Right.
Because she's beautiful. She can have a bed mate, but to have a soul mate, she may never get. I have 2 daughters, 11 and 20, right? My oldest will be 21 this week. Statistically, right? There's a strong chance my daughter could be one of those. I hope she's not. She could be one of those who never get a husband because only 1 out of 4 gets a husband. You see that? So when a black woman says, I don't need a man, that is a reaction to the reality that I may not get a man.
Wrong. First off, it's not pain speaking. It's them believing the same foolishness that white women believed. In that because I have all this access and ability to get my own money, I don't need men to do it, and I also don't have to listen to a man, or, God forbid, do what they say. This has been seen everywhere that men have made the coast clear for women. Even the most half-assed bit of research shows that, no matter where on planet Earth one goes. It's happening in Korea, Japan, India, check wherever. The reason why black women can have sex whenever they want is the same reason why any non-black woman can. Because most hetero males will take what they can get, and all men, gay much less straight, would prefer to bust a nut without having to jack off to do it. If most black women won't get a man, it's not because men haven't tried to get with them. Women are lying when they say that each and every single day an infinite amount of men hit on them, especially in today's post-Me Too day and age, where most men now realize that their freedom is worth more than pussy. And once you see what women consider as quote-unquote hitting on them. However, said women will have some man try to get with them at some point in their life, usually when they're younger. The question is, are those the men that women want? To which I ask, are those men in question settling for the women that don't want them because women as a whole in today's day and age aren't worth the time, energy, money, and patience out of said man's finite life? From what I've heard, women say sex is sex. Once you have one, you've had them all. Okay then, perhaps those guys that are settling for women that don't even want them came to that realization. A hole is a hole. She obviously isn't on my list of choices, but she'll do. We may be talking about the black community, but make no mistake, more or less this entire video can apply to any community.
So why not preach? Because I understood, you're obviously against interracial relations when it comes to black men
Absolutely.
with black women. With white women.
With all women. You should only be with the black woman.
And
Then you have to ask, what is black? 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16. If a black man gets with a woman that's 1/32 black and 31/32, insert other race or ethnicity here, is that okay? Melanin concentration can't be below what percentage?
you will say, well, if you can't find a good woman in America,
Go
there's
somewhere
plenty
else.
in Africa.
Absolutely.
So why not teach that same rhetoric to our women? Like if you feel
I
like
tell sisters all the time, go to Africa.
So
I know
then-
sisters who marry. I just spoke with a sister. She invited me to the wedding. She just married a brother from the continent.
but instead of saying they will never
I've
get
taken
married,
sisters to Africa who married brothers they met
Right.
in Africa.
right?
So yeah,
I think
do teach that.
there's plenty. I think there's obviously plenty of black men
Yes,
for black
it is.
women. So
And what I
instead of
also
saying that
tell
they'll
black
never
women,
get
if you're going to
married,
go get you an African man from the continent,
right?
you're going to have to understand that the way in which you talk to black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Mhm.
Why the
It
fuck
is
is
a
it tolerated? It's not
respect.
tolerated here. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well,
Nothing. First off, there are plenty of black men, as was just discovered. So the question then becomes, why can't you get one to stay? Second, why did there need to be a warning for black men in Africa, if the mouth of black women isn't the problem here in America? It's not like you could say, well, black men over in Africa or anywhere else that's a predominantly black Afro country/continent made white supremacy extinct. They built Wakanda, for lack of a better term. And so you see, black men built, so the lips on your face better be just as tight as a virgin, if you know what I mean. As those young men, keep that in mind for later, rightfully said, it's not tolerated here. That's what we're saying, quote unquote. So, you, Ifatunde, expect that black women in America are going to talk to black men from third world countries with any degree of respect, when, as can be seen, they don't talk to black men, black American men, who are from the same first world country they are, with said respect. Okay, if that was supposed to logically follow, I think I missed it. Or are you too afraid to say what one and all should know? If any woman, race irrespective, comes to any other non-Western white country and tries to disrespect the men of that country, they'll end up beaten up at best and dead at worst. It's real easy to talk at men like you don't have any sense or home training when men have been conditioned since at least the 60s to take it. Be a human shield and a punching bag for all women because vag, and if all else fails, call the cops. Take away all that, and add the fact that the women of said third world countries are probably going to take umbrage to women of the West, first world countries, coming there and acting like they run shit, and the men of those third world countries can probably sit back and watch their women rip the American women apart.
Over here, I want to say this to us, though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for.
History. Remember when I said keep that in mind for later? Here we go.
Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be your man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back. I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that. And then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
Here comes the infinite divide that separates us. The mass incarceration of black men in the 60s to 80s was due mainly to black men having little, if any, economic opportunity because of the very same system of white supremacy that one and all admits exists to present day. From the laws passed to the cops, all one has to do is look at the history just after slavery, that's Reconstruction, to the 1960s to see why there was a mass incarceration of black men. That wasn't black men's fault. Especially considering the only way that that was going to not happen is if black men exterminated white men and if white women wanted their lives spared in exchange for being a human sex slave for black men, they could plead their case to black women for final approval. Then comes the fact that black women in the 1960s chose the government over black men in order to keep the government assistance going. Had there not been any government assistance, as there wasn't from Reconstruction until then, could black women be foaming off at the mouth about strong, smart, independent, don't need a man, etc.? Black men didn't create the welfare state. Now then, we didn't play a role. Umar Johnson is just as irrelevant to everyone older than Gen Y. Simply put, boomers raised Gen Y and Gen X raised Gen Z. How they turned out is due to those previous generations. The spawn of Gen Y aren't anywhere near entering the fight, turning 18. So no one can blame Gen Y and Gen Z men for the way Gen Y and Gen Z ladies turned out. Yeah, that's exactly what Umar tries to do, and that's why he got so much flames not only from Gen Z men, from the Gen Z men sitting in front of him, or at least young Gen Y, but I believe they're Gen Z. Anyway. But from many online, in addition to the hellfire and brimstone from my millennial ass. Gen Y and Gen Z men didn't get a chance to oppress or abandon women of any generation, and by the looks of things in society today, they never will. So for this, at least Gen X, to try to blame Gen Y and Gen Z black men for anything will be the reason why he loses what little credibility he had with said generations. Or at least generations of black men.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
Gen Y and Gen Z have to be held accountable because of the environment created and fruits bore by everyone from Gen X on back. This is yet another reason why I say Gen Y and Gen Z are on their own.
See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course you're going to end up with a poor mate.
Whose fault is that? Did Gen Y or Z create the economy that we're in as of 2023? Did said generations rack up the national debt? Oh, what? Student loans? That we were told we had to get a degree and advance in life? By who? Exactly. Did said generations take the USA, and by extension the rest of the world, off the gold standard? Amazing how women as a whole, even though this is about black women, see bad selection and pick from bad selection. Yet men as a whole, and black men, in Gen Y and Gen Z specifically, see the shit selection we have, and what do? Some try passport brosing it, while most simply say, I'm not picking. I'll stay single and childless. It's not like I'm used to getting as much women as women are used to getting men, so it's no great loss for me.
And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need.
Again, Gen Y spawn are in elementary and middle school now. Gen Z spawn, assuming they even have any, are in a crib somewhere. So which black men are you talking about as you preach to what looks like Gen Z black men?
We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us. She got a right to be angry with us.
I understand
we have not been on our job as black men.
As stated. However, am I to understand that black women have been raising nothing but angelic virgin black girls to be anything black men and boys would want anyway? You don't get WAP or body yada 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 from women that are virgins till marriage, in the house baking pies, saying prayers and singing hymns. Unless I'm in error, in which case, show me even one example. For anyone that thinks this is just black girls, perhaps take a gander to any college or university where a white girl from an intact, and I'm just using white as an example, you could pretty much use any female, any mortal human female, biological female for this example. From an intact, both biological parents, nuclear family household goes to. What's the first thing said white girl does? She finds all of the black men in said university and proceeds to fuck each and every single one of them. From Tyrone, who doesn't even go to the school, but knows these girls show up each year and he's ready with the magnums. Or not. To Carlton Banks, to Steve goddamn Urkel. Okay? Only after said white girl has used her pussy to extract the sperm of every black man on campus does she let all the non-black men get the leftovers. And if you think I'm lying, well, I won't even get into that. Let's just that part wasn't scripted in, so we'll just keep going. It seems that no amount of raising is going to change that girls will be girls, as evidenced by the amount of non-married, non-virgin 13 to 25-year-old females, race irrespective, running around in the Western world.
If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father, but guess what? What are we doing for the community?
What happened all the other times black people tried to build? What happened to Black Wall Street and all the other thriving black towns of the past? Predominantly, I suppose, black towns of the past. Exactly. So I say fuck the community. There's no point in having / trying to save the black community unless first and foremost every man and woman in said community is armed. Black man and woman at the very least. Is armed. Everything else can come after. The one bit of information I got out of Jason Black before we came to blows is that the black communities of the past had everything they needed except a gun store. Well, that will be the first thing any black community I spend my finite life trying to save has. If not, fuck said community.
What are we doing for the children who don't have a father? You don't think the black woman got a right to be angry when she's been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself for 50 years?
1. Where's the man she chose to have those kid or kids plural with? No, she wasn't raped in most instances. Damn near none. Was he driven out because of a check? Women have had the birth control and mourning after since at least the 70s. And since, if they were religious virgins, they wouldn't have had kids out of wedlock anyway. So, not only should it have lasted 10 years max, but there's no excuse. Did all the men die in war? I don't think so. 2. What say you to all the black men that don't have any kids? Those black women didn't pick them. Seems like they picked a certain type of black man. Keep this in mind for later.
And the minute she raised her voice, we say she not humble enough. She had to become masculine to survive the rape, the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see how we created that?
So that's 100% of the reason. And for 50 years, you say? Considering that happens in all races and all genders, despite what anyone wants to say to the contrary, why is it then that it's only black American women that is seen on the world stage raising her voice? Seems to me if that was even the root cause, much less the majority of the reason, women all over the planet would be just as vocal as black women in America are, especially in today's day and age of the internet and social media. Try again.
Understand that, but she needs to be more
If we was loving
selective.
our women and taking care of our women, do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
If she's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
You're making her a scapegoat.
No, she's picking a scapegoat.
No.
There's good quality men that they ignore.
Why she even got it? Why?
Exactly. And Umar knows this is correct, and that's why he has to deflect and red herring with this coming question. Say what you want about Red Pill, Manosphere, MGTOW, and all else, and I have too much to say about those camps, especially since I was in those camps from 2008 to 2015, before the white supremacists and actual misogynists infiltrated. However, the one thing they have allowed women to do is let it be known, Chad and Tyrone will get them when they're 18 to 21, or younger, a virgin and at their physical best because of insert reasons, usually dealing with how they make them feel here. Okay. Then the sands shift in that supposed hourglass body of theirs. They have X number of kid or kids plural by Y number of, God forbid, different men. Then Carlton Banks, Steve Urkel, and whoever the equivalent is in your race / group can have her. Put simply, assuming she's even qualified for Carlton Banks or Steve Urkel, she chose Tyrone and Tupac. And for all the non-blacks watching, whatever the equivalent is in your race as far as those 4 names. And of course, if you don't know who the hell those 4 people are, go to research them.
Why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
You gotta ask her.
No. I'm gonna tell you why there's a Pookie in the selection.
Why?
Because black men have abandoned black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she with Pookie.
Again, which black men are these? Gen Y and Gen Z black men?
If we never allow Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie. If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
So, black women can't think for themselves. They get to blame black men for the problems that black women chose of their also strong, smart, independent, don't need a man, freedom and free will. Okay. If that's the case, then black men need to have complete Sharia law type control over black women with no exceptions. What's not going to fucking happen is black men get all the work, blame, and responsibility with none of the reward, power, and dominance. It doesn't happen with any other group, not even whites, despite how shit looks with their camp right now. It's not going to happen here.
I can hear that.
I'm not saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman disrespects me, right, that still don't give me a right to disrespect her because she's still the queen of the community.
And this is the final nail. I don't care if he's pandering or not. Queens get to disrespect everyone except the king. Now then, if black men get to be dissed by quote-unquote the queens of the community, they aren't the king of the community. If black women are the quote-unquote queen, who is the king, since not only are black men apparently not the king, but you can't have a queen without a king. What Umar said here, if accepted and followed, will make black men exactly what all women, race irrespective, admit on camera, especially in today's day and age, that they don't like and don't want, and also don't respect. A simp. No one is allowed to diss black women, yet one and all, even black women, can diss black men. Which other community says the women can diss the men and the men have to take it like some slave bitch? Yet Umar wants this to fly with Gen Y and Gen Z black men. I could end it here as Umar's finished. He'll never recover from this.
Even if she not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect. But when I hear brothers talk like this discourse we having now, we act like we don't understand.
No,
There's reasons for that shit.
I do understand. Women are so valuable. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think women ground men and help them, propel to the next level.
I don't know about that. When men do their best work is when they've told women to fuck off. The great inventors, philosophers, mathematicians, etc. were usually in ISO away from everyone, especially women when trying to reach the top of what they wanted to do. Even with something such as real or supposed enlightenment, one had to clear themselves of the world, and that included women. The Catholic priests and the Shaolin monks of Middle Ages are two notable examples. Even the Gregorian monks can be cited. I think man simply gave up here with this bit of pandering.
I think men get further in life with a woman, right? But if I'm a hardworking man, but I'm only looked at as resources, and then she's ready to jump on Tom, Dick, and Harry because he got flash, he's shining a little bit more, his access to money is quicker than mine. It's kind of hard to have that.
Well, no.
You see the disconnect. Here you have a Gen Z, or at least Gen Y, man telling this Gen X, God forbid boomer, how the world in the dating and mating scene is in today's day and age. And instead of said Gen X/boomer listening to the way things are now for the men that didn't have any say in how things are, he comes back with deflections and red herrings. How many videos here online of guys on the street with nothing but a microphone and a camera going out asking girls, the age that men want, for whatever reason or reasons plural, quote, which do you prefer, bad boys or nice guys? / 9-to-5 dude or fast money D-boy? / blue collar man or white collar investment banker, etc. How many videos are out there like that? How many of those women say they want the man that apparently is in the low single digits on the planet? And who are usually boomer and married. Shit. Of course, they don't want the actual boomer, and break, this part isn't scripted. They don't want the actual boomer, obviously. They would prefer the guy be in like his 20s or 30s, but be boomer level investment banker / CEO. And of course have that money, at the very least have the money. So, there's that. Anyway, back to the script. This, as usual, is race / ethnicity irrespective.
I agree with you, but that's not all sisters.
No, it's not. It's
and if
not.
you're constantly running into that type of woman,
yeah,
then the problem is you.
Gen X and boomers created this Sex and the City / sex life dynamic that Gen Y and Gen Z were fed, yet the problem isn't the environment that made these women instead of religious virgins waiting for marriage. It's the Gen Y and Gen Z men that are the problem. Okay. And not all women are like this? Okay. The same can be said that not all men or not all black men are like this. Therefore, black women should have chosen the ones that weren't going to leave them or accept being driven out. They should have picked Carlton and Urkel then and take responsibility for not doing just that.
Because you're attracting a certain low vibrational energy. Why
not
that?
have that same energy for women? You just again, you have
because
the man
we having a
responsible.
conversation as men.
Yeah.
I got plenty of interviews with all women where I check them too.
All right.
But as a man, you should not be concerned about what I say to them. No, as men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of black males for tomorrow.
He got caught and tried to deflect. I'd like to see where he checks his main source of income. Since when do queens get checked by anyone that's not a king? King Umar sure as hell is not. Gen Z man's got him though. The exact same thing that can be said to black men can be said to black women. Not all, low vibration, something's wrong with you, why you keep attracting dusty, rusty, and crusty, etc. If Gen Y and Gen Z black men want to raise better quality black boys, the solution is simple. Don't do what Gen X on back did.
That's the only, that is where we should be focusing.
Women bring the choice of life, right? We understand that, right? I can't have a child unless a woman agrees.
And she can't carry one if you didn't put it in her.
I agree with that 100% too, right? But whether or not, if you want that child or not, she can still make that decision. It's only up to her.
If you don't put a seed in her, nothing else happens. And no woman can make you put a seed in her. So the original act was the responsibility of a man.
True. I mean...
So fucking what? That doesn't change what he said. All the child custody and support cases prove if the man wants the kid and the woman doesn't, the kid dies via abortion. If the woman wants the kid and the man doesn't, the kid lives. His original act is irrelevant. He knows full well he got caught, and all he did was state fact that no one was even questioning, and said it with a tone that your black grandmother would say something in, which meant, quote, I'm right, no questioning me. This guy's a fucking joke.
All right. So, did black men willingly leave the household, or was it the system that was?
It was systemic.
All right. So how if we giving them grace for them having to do it without us, but it wasn't our fault? How are we not getting that same grace and that same respect?
Boom. Got him. The Gen Z boys are lighting his obsolete ass up, and he can't do shit about it after how he built his base by being the toilet seat that black women sit on. Had I been on that panel, I would have shut him down by simply asking, How is any of this the fault of Gen Y or Gen Z black men?
I'll tell you why.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why. Because black men, as the leaders of the community, now
we can't be leaders.
Here's the question we got to make.
That?
Here's the
ding. Oh, just liver and kidney shots ad infinitum.
Here's the question. Because the argument y'all make feeds into the feminist agenda.
Okay.
It's an argument that says, I don't want the responsibility.
I'm a leader.
I don't want to fix shit. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fall back and let her run everything. That's what the feminists tell. They say, look at them, making excuses for why they can't be better men, making excuses for why they can't make better men. You understand? Your argument feeds the feminist narrative.
That's not what we're making excuses for.
I'm saying I am the better man, but I shouldn't be held responsible because you wanted to choose a Pookie and a Ray Ray. That's not me. I work too hard in my life.
Back to what
At this point, they're ground and pounding his ass. I will say this, though. Be very careful when people tell you what your argument is. When people say, quote-unquote, in other words, or quote-unquote, what you mean is, or quote-unquote, what you meant to say is, etc. I hope one of these men asks Umar why, if he has 2 kids, unless they aren't biologically his, which is another takedown I could do, is he not married to the mother? Not mothers, plural, right? Jeez. Why is he, like so many of these Gen X and older men, race irrespective, single as all types and kinds of fuck?
I said, Pookie and Ray Ray shouldn't exist. And the only reason why Pookie and Ray Ray exist because we're not in the community making those boys the men they need to be. Do you see that? And, she don't get a Pookie if you didn't allow a Pookie.
But she got an Eli. She ain't come to Eli. She went to Pookie. And that's what we're trying to say.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow one.
I worked too hard in my life.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow one.
But Dr. Umar,
men supposed to raise the boys.
Right. We as men is holding other men accountable for the same thing that you talking about right now.
What are we doing for the young brothers in the street? So
what you mean, mentoring them? Now I mean he's a great father.
I ain't talking about that's individual. That's good, but that's individualism. Yeah. What are we doing collectively as men to change the trajectory for black boys in the streets right now?
Let's see now. 1, they aren't your kids, so legally you can't make them do anything. 2, you try to, you may get God knows what kind of accusation or accusation charges, plural, on you. 3, is the mother going to allow it, or is she going to try and sabotage it out of spite? Spite, embarrassment, because she couldn't do it herself, as she has been claiming that she could for how many decades now, and again, more or less race irrespective. Or at least in this point, if it's decades plural, I'd say white and black, but anyway, back to the script. 4, since black women are killing it so much with their education and creation of more businesses than anyone, or at least black men, why aren't these black women employing their own sons? Not even any black boy in the community, but just their own sons. And if all of them employ their own sons, then, black men would be employed by the community. I could go on.
I
Nothing.
We're being
but talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could take it.
It's not going to get better unless we put hands on deck. The reason the athletes and the rappers are the role models is the professional black man moved out the hood.
Talking shit, eh? Right. So your school is fully open and has classes packed, is what I'm to understand? As you sit here and chastise black men, directly and by extension, generations that didn't have shit to do with the condition of the black community. Huh.
Where the dentist at? He ain't in the black community no more. Where the lawyer at? Where the business owner at? Where your city council person at? We abandon black boys, and then we blame black men for poor choices in mates that they should not even have to make if we did a better job raising our boys the right way.
What exactly happened to Nipsey Hussle when he went back to the community and tried to help? I don't follow the rap / hip hop / R&B world, and even I heard about that. And once again, much like voting, stop picking shit. No quote-unquote lesser of two evils. It's either I get what I want or I don't accept anything. Are Gen Y and Gen Z men accepting what the current dating and mating scene is offering them? No. As evidenced by all the videos of women asking where the fuck are all the men, why aren't men trying anymore, it's only the fuckboys left that are too busy chasing the 18 to 21-year-old girls. Gen Y and Gen Z men are able to say, quote, I'm not marrying and starting a family with a community girlfriend, end quote. Why can't women do the same? Why can't women say, I won't go for the top 10%, since chances are I won't get it, without having to share with 90% of women? And soon, the top 95% of men won't want me. Why can't they do that?
At the end of the day, if I'm going to call myself a man, the ultimate responsibility for reconstruction of the black community rests with me.
And if black women as a whole are not willing to cooperate and or are going to want equal power, when all the bulldozing, steamrolling, and heavy lifting is done by black men only, then what?
Yes, they have a role. Yes, they have responsibility. But as a man, as a leader, to say I can't fix this shit unless she changes, that's not the definition of a man.
I don't see. I think we're on two different accords. Like, I don't think we're saying that. What I'm saying is I'm capable of being that leader, that provider. I've worked hard in my life. You get what I'm saying? I should not have to do.
You still go back to individualism.
But I only feel like we tell black men that we have to now deal with masculine women, women with children.
Why is she masculine? Because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not one woman,
so
brother, a whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No.
That's what I have to look forward to?
But I'm telling you, mistakes made by black men systemically gave rise to the conditions that allowed her to be masculine and made her end up with a man that you consider to be less than what he should be. And I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children.
It was at this point he checked out. Umar saying black men are responsible is no different than women saying that men are responsible for women's oppression in the Western world. Can you imagine a white woman telling a black man that because male, she's oppressed by him? Just as women as a whole, and feminists specifically, don't want to zero in on which men really or supposedly oppress them, that being white men and a small amount at that, Umar is not willing to say that Gen X and boomer men fucked up black women. And this is really just Gen X on back, because that, this is not part of the script, that is probably long before it is long before boomers. Long before the generation before boomers and the generation before that. So, point is not Gen Y onward. So, from Gen X on back. Certainly boomers back, but Gen X back. Right? Back to the script. Said black women chose to accept the programming instead of rejecting it. Shahrazad Ali explained that one perfectly. And black women then taught their daughters that shit, and now Umar is trying to lump Gen Y and Z black men in with Gen X and boomers, and giving all black men the blame. And Gen Y and Z black men aren't going to put up with it. We really aren't.
And when I say help them raise them children, I don't mean you as the stepdad. I mean you as an active member in the community where we go to every single parent black mother and say, how many sons you got? 2? How many sons you got? 2? Well, guess what? That's your son's big brother. That's your son's big brother. He taking them to school. He doing the homework. He gonna spend a couple hours with them every Saturday. He got his own kids too, but he gonna make time for you.
Or we can go find out who the bio dad is and have him do that. Also, if black men are to take time out of our finite life to go support some kid or kids plural who not only did they not father, but whose mom wouldn't have given them the time of day, much less whose pussy they didn't even get to fuck, there's going to need to be some ecclesiastical austerity measures and constraints. What's not going to fucking happen is she get a free pass and bail out from the consequence of her choices, while, say, me, a 36-year-old black man with 0 kids to my name, now has to hear that I have to de facto father some kid that's not mine. Didn't get any pussy from moms. God only knows how the laws are regarding that as far as me being legally responsible for the kids because I'm the only father he's ever known, he or she's ever known, or we're talking about black boys, okay, he's ever known, or some shit. And whatever the fuck else I missed. Okay? All while hearing how this one's going to be interesting. Back to the script. All while hearing how I'm a runner and a tether from these FBA, B1, ADOS, or whatever the fuck else these imbeciles are calling themselves today. Okay? And the reason why I tied this in, break from the script, the reason why I tied this part in is because apparently it's black men. I qualify as a black man. I by definition, am a black man. He's not, Umar isn't singling to just black American men. He's saying black men. So as long as you qualify, as long as you are classified as a black man, well, that means any black. So he is, of course, Pan-African and Pan-African diaspora and all that business. So, yeah.
She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and having to take care of herself all at the same time. The black woman has been the be-all, end-all in our community for half of a century, and now we want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough when she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own, that's insensitive and disingenuous.
The only thing that's disingenuous is you mentioning all these things that black women went through, not from the 1960s to today, but from slavery to the 1960s, usually at the hands of whites. Black men and women have been together up until the 1960s. I want to know, where have black women been getting their ass beat, raped, and all else if black men are all in jail, off with white or just non-black women, or, as of the 90s to present day, down low? Okay. Umar admits that it's a systemic problem that split black men and black women. Yet he still blames black men instead of asking, had black women not let white woman feminism get into the civil rights movement, which was a movement started to help the black man, black woman, and black child to get freedom, justice, and equality in a country they helped build. Thank you, Shahrazad Ali, for that one. And turn it into a man versus woman thing. Would the black community still end up the way it did from the 60s until now? Of course, that would mean admitting that Eve sinned first, not Adam. And that's not advantageous to his bottom line. As one and all can see here, he can't fool other men, but check the comment section of any video, hell, maybe even this one, where a lot of women have commented, and I bet most chug the crap Umar was urinating in this video.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, I guess I understand what you're saying.
I'm not taking
you
nothing
have
back from
yet
that.
to tell me something that we've done systemically to combat that. Because you keep saying me and her. I don't care about me and her.
But there's plenty
women
of
and men. Mm-hmm. Women and men as a group in the community. You understand?
Right.
We gave birth to that. You see? So you say she had a couple kids already because she met men. She probably thought they was good. Some of them. They left her.
She knew they wasn't good.
You don't know that, brother.
She knew they wasn't good.
You're making assumptions about her. Would you make the same assumption if she was a white woman?
Yes, I would.
So you say.
No,
come on, man.
no.
Nah, come on.
Listen,
There's no need to make those assumptions. White men all up and down the internet have been showing that the same thing applies to white women. And no, he's not making assumptions. Again, street, mic, camera. While single, young, and childless, ask the questions: bad boy or nice guys, blue collar worker or investment banker, etc. Some have even came flat out and asked, quote, do you like toxic men? And based on the current situation of the dating market and the fact that roughly 80 to 90% of women, race irrespective, at least in the Western world, complain about the same thing in men, yet roughly 80% of men are alone and can't even get a one-night hookup, much less. Guess what the answer to that toxic man question is?
So you say,
listen, like I said, I feel like as a black man,
we don't hold them all accountable because black men date outside their race more than every other man put together.
I said,
is that right? Yet somehow black men are still the ones to blame for most, if not all, the rapes, beatings, and abandonment of black women, while supposedly getting with other women more than all other men and put together. Okay. This despite the fact that white men and Asian women were the fastest growing interracial group, at least from 2000 to 2015. Certainly all the while I was in high school. Shit. If not until now and counting. This despite the fact that everyone dates whoever, but as far as being chained down to someone, i.e. marriage, yeah, exactly. Big difference between date and marriage. Any and every woman will date, fuck, black men. Yet again, black men are the problem, even though we're all supposedly in jail, closet gay, and off with insert non-black woman here. Okay.
Y'all three?
yes.
Okay.
yeah,
I
but
can't disprove that because I don't know you personally.
Even that,
But
if we look at the numbers, black men marry black women at an 87% rate, where black women marry outside of their race, or they marry outside at a 92%.
black women do not. No, you're
that's
wrong.
That's percentages
you're
apart.
wrong.
That's not that much.
Black women do not marry out the race more than black men.
I'm
That's
not
wrong.
saying that, but the percentages
Black
ain't that
women,
far off. That's what I'm
black
saying.
women have one of the highest, fastest growing interracial marriage rates. But her interracial marriage rate pales in comparison to what black men have been doing interracially for 4 or 5 decades.
4 to 5 decades? Really? Decades? Black men specifically make up how much percentage of the population? And hell, that's just black men that's just black men. I don't know if you want to break that down into black American men, black Caribbean men, black African, black whatever, black Euro, but just black men. Okay. Back to the script. Unless I'm to understand that there is a ratio of 100 black men to 1 black woman, I don't see how the math supports that most black women marry black men, despite jail, gay, and off with non-black women, yet black men pale in comparison to black women in jumping ship. Okay. It also leads me to ask, why are white women taking these black men, or just non-black women, but white women taking these black men if they aren't even good enough for black women? When said white women can easily have the full weight and force of white society behind her if she simply stays in-house.
Understand? She don't even come close to what we're doing interracially.
Black fathers are in the home more than any other group or race.
Okay. But what
that has no value?
More than Asian, East Indian, Mideastern, Hispanic, Native American, and white. I wonder if that stat even includes the entire planet. It wasn't black kids getting adopted all through the 90s until Putin got wind of all the rapes that Russian kids faced at the hands of their white parents, and stopped all that adoption of Russians in the 1997 to 1999 range. I actually remember when that happened. I actually remember when that happened. It made quite a bit of headline news back, I believe it was either 97, 98, 99. Anyway, back to the script. It wasn't black kids that were getting adopted from the 90s to present day. That's East/Southeast Asians. Makes one wonder, if black men are so bad, Why are all these kids not being taken care of by their bio parents instead of being adopted? I want to answer that one.
It does have value, but we're going to put that up against the other statistic. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. Mm-hmm. And like I said, when I say being raised, I'm not saying there needs to be a father. I would like a father in that house, but I know it's not enough of us to go around.
Yeah.
We are not even being accountable to the boys in the hood. And we're complaining about the women.
I argue with women
who are making babies with the irresponsible men that we didn't raise correctly. That's bullshit.
All right.
That's wimp-ass, weak man shit. Take responsibility for our shit. Stop scapegoating them.
Yeah, I could.
I'm 36 years old. As of yet, I can't find a single woman that I want to reproduce with, despite the fact that I've been with the one I'm with now for 9.x years. So what do? Not have any fucking kids. I didn't go find some ghetto, barrio, favela, trailer park bitch and pump her full of kids, then expect some pick-me woman to slam on all women for the shit options in women I had. Slam on the women for being shit options, fine, but I still didn't have kids with them. Women have had access to the pill and morning after since the 60s. What excuse do they have for having kids with men that ain't shit? I'm not even saying not have sex, though God forbid being a virgin when you come to the man you actually want is an option in women's minds. But sex hasn't been linked to having a kid as far as women are concerned since the 1960s. All women of every race have had the Carlton/Urkel equivalent try to get with them when they were young, plus or minus virgin, 0 kids. And most, if not all, of those men were all of them. I'll stick with that. Most, if not all, of those men were told to fuck themselves, as said women proceeded to seek the Tyrone/Tupac equivalent. Okay. The only difference is black women seem to do it the most and certainly have kids the most. Most other women of other races at least have the sense to not have the kid. At least in the Western world. Again, all these Asian kids getting adopted are coming from somewhere, and I doubt the women shitting them out are out here virgin marrying it. So, there's that. These women know how to say no because they have no problem saying no to Carlton/Urkel. They also not only weren't raped by Tupac/Tyrone, if Tyrone/Tupac claimed and said women held them at gunpoint and forced the pussy on them, I would believe them 100%, no proof needed. Okay? Yet here you come, Ifa Tunde, trying to blame all black men for what many, if not most, black women chose to do with a few black men. Nigga, where the fuck is that goddamn school?
I could agree to that.
All I'm saying is look at all we could be doing better, man. Half the black boys in the 4th grade can't read. What black men doing about that systemically?
No.
Waiting on you to open that fucking school you've been promising and raking in cash apps, PayPal, Patreon, OnlyFans, Bitcoin, etc. donations for what seems like the past decade now. That's what we doing, nigga.
Not enough.
I know what I'm doing about it. I'm building a school for it, 2 of them. Mm-hmm. But systemically, as black men, what are we doing about that? Nothing. Black boys are the most unemployed teenager in America. What black men doing about that?
Since we live in a system of white supremacy, so saith the likes of you, Tariq Nasheed, Jason Black, and various manifestations of them, etc., and said white supremacist system seeks, via white women, to burn down anything black men build. Think all of the black towns of the past. Black Wall Street, anyone? Okay. While allowing black women to open up businesses seemingly more than anyone else in today's day and age. What are we doing? Waiting on all these boss bitch also alpha black women to employ these black boys and men in these businesses that they keep shoving in black men's face that they create and are the founder and CEO of. Other groups of women don't seem to have a problem doing this, even if it's employing their own family members. I dare say it's common knowledge that black women as a whole, truthfully all women all over the world, aren't trying to deal with a patriarchal system, as they've made so vocal since the 60s and amplified since 2000. Okay, well, men, race irrespective, aren't going to build anything if they aren't the ones controlling the finished product. So I guess that means women are going to have to do it.
See, the Pookie and Ray Ray you kept talking about? We letting them raise right before our eyes, and then we want to criticize her for ending up with one when we should have made sure there were none.
Raised before whose eyes? Pookie and Ray Ray are still in jail. Still getting pussy from queens of the community through conjugal visits, while Carlton and Urkel get to jack off at night. They would go where they're accepted, even wanted, but then they're sellout, weak, not black, can't handle a strong, smart, independent, don't need a man woman, and has to go to a non-black woman instead. So, again, race before whose eyes?
Listen, we all got choices. Just like if I choose to live a lifestyle,
you're dealing with individualism again. I can't
but that's
deal with
part
that.
of choices.
No, it's not. Yeah. We have to deal with this systemically. He brought up a question earlier, and he said, "Did we make these problems on our own, or was there some systemics involved?" It was systemics.
Okay.
In 1970, they shut down the factories. They took out the industrial building jobs. 1980, dropped off the crack and the AIDS. 1990, the Bill Clinton crime bill. There's systemic factors at play. You totally divorce your analysis from any systemic factors at all. You ain't mentioned one. You keep talking about her and Pookie and Ray Ray with the kids. You ain't say shit about the systemics. That's exactly what white folks want you to do. That's what white folks want you to do.
I'm saying that
ignore
I have made
what I've done to your women and scapegoat her. Because that's what she's doing to you. She's ignoring what the system did to you. And she's going to scapegoat you. And we're both scapegoating each other.
Okay, that's fair.
His dumbass finally realized he lost and had to throw out some truth, which is that it's not because black men chose of their own freedom and free will to say fuck black women, or that they wanted to see black women fucked up. It's the system of white supremacy that fucked up the black community, not black men. And all of this happened before Gen Y, much less Gen Z, was even fucking born. So to come to said generations and tell them how any of this is their fault, it's in your best interest to sit down, shut up, and keep scamming with that school that you're supposedly building.
But analysis is feeding the gender war. It's not solving it.
Listen,
I don't mind us holding the women accountable. I don't mind us holding the men accountable.
Right?
Yeah.
But when we're going to hold the system accountable as well.
That's fair.
And if we're going to hold the system accountable, that also means we got to make our own systems too. Black men have not been manly in quite some time when it comes to raising boys.
How would you suggest that black men take on the role of leadership?
Especially when there's an attack on black masculinity.
Without women willing to listen to us. You get what I'm saying? How do we prove our worth or take back the leadership
care of the boys.
role?
You want the women back? Take care of these damn boys. They run in the hood, killing people at will, flunking out of school, following the lead of the gangster rappers. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can do that ain't got nothing to do with the women, boys and men. Do you understand? Deal with the boys and the men. Leave her out of it and go straight to the boys. And you'll get her respect back.
Since men supposedly only do things in order to eat, sleep, or fuck, so saith some infantile belief in either psychology or sociology. For that to happen, black women are going to need to get the fuck out of the way. They're also going to need to actively choose to start giving pussy only to Carlton/Urkel, or no one at all. Do that and the boys will change on their own. No input from black men needed. But as long as the 1% Instagram easy life seems like it will come, the fastest with the fast money of rap/D-boys, if not, because today's day and age, OnlyFans, which is a whole other video in itself, then these boys ain't trying to hear it. Especially if they don't see themselves living that long. I can see it now. I can take this gun, sell this item, move this product, and make more money in one day than a regional manager of any business sees in a year, all tax-free, and I get access to the hottest bitches, cars, house, trips, etc. Yet you want me to give all that up and go work for the white man system, even if indirectly in some black business, that you said is the reason for this systematic shit that stays fucking up black people and work in a cell. No, I'm sorry. I mean, cubicle. And dodge bitches' allegations of sexual whatever the fuck for how much? A year? And the only bitch I'm getting is Meg Griffin. Nigga, you got 10 seconds advantage. And if I see your ass again, it's on sight. I can see that what I just said right, and all of what I just said just now, as being the kind of conversation that most of these boys out here, black boys out here, are having with black men. And by black men, I mean Gen X and Boomer. They're not having it with us millennials or Gen Z, because we're trying to survive just like them. Okay. It needs to be worth it. These black boys need to, this is still break from the script. These black boys need to see, these younger black boys need to see, black men need to see it as worth it. Okay? They need to see it as worth it. And right now, the women aren't picking the black boys that are going to school and doing the right thing and hopefully don't become some bootlick, some conservative bootlick of some conservative token. They need to start seeing them getting the money. They need to start seeing them getting all the girls, the hot girls, not, we're talking Jessica Rabbit, not Meg Griffin, right? Okay. They need to see it as worth it. Because right now, those rap dudes are the ones getting the girls and the money. Those dope boys, those drug pushers are the ones getting anything. So, they need to see it as worth it to go into the white man system or whatever, or even hell, the black people's business in the white man system, and get your cheap suit and get in the cubicle, and it actually be worth it. And right now, I gotta tell you, you look at Thomas Sowell, you look at Cornel West, you look at all of these people, and well, Thomas Sowell, we all know how he sold out, has been sold out. But all of these other blacks that have been accepted into the white system by any form or fashion, they all look like they are just so on edge. So on edge. Like, let me not say the wrong thing or else my ass is out with these niggas. So, if you think that these older, us Gen Y, much less the young Gen Z, don't see this, you all are even more stupid than you look like, than you look, sound, and act like.
Give them jobs, give them education, give them training, give them your time. They not getting none of that from black men. We don't give a shit about black boys. And then we're going to get mad at her for ending up with one later in life. It's ridiculous.
Like I said, we
product and get mad for her for ending up consuming the product.
Who is we, nigga? Gen Y and Z black men, considering all other races of Gen Y and Z men all over the planet, are trying to make heads or tails of this shit global societal doomsday we're in. I don't even know what us black men are doing, but we sure as hell don't have time, energy, money, or patience to deal with kid or kids plural that aren't ours, especially if we're careful not to have any, or couldn't get any pussy if we went to a third world country and paid in a whorehouse. But you Gen X and Boomer men, you all are retiring now, or retired already, so you have time. Right? You all also have damn near all the money. And since this is a problem that was created while you all had control of the reins, as much as can be in a system of white supremacy, then y'all niggas fix it.
She could consume whatever she wants. I'm just saying, as a black man,
it's not about her consuming whatever she wants, brother, because if we're trying to fix the black community, everybody and everything matters. It's not individual. You're an individualist. You're not thinking as a community. Your whole analysis is based on me and her. Step out of that shit. This is systems at play. You understand?
Right.
Multiple black men screwed up. Multiple black women screwed up. You understand me? Look at the systemic nature and say, what system do we need to create as black men to prevent the Pookie and Ray Ray from coming into existence?
Or I, as a black man, can just look for a woman that is healed, that is leading in her femininity, that doesn't have a child by another woman.
But that doesn't solve community problems. We're talking about community solutions. That's individualism.
Oh, thank God this shit's over. Fact is, all the Gen X and boomers that are trying to tell Gen Y and Gen Z men this shit can go lick a trail mix bag of dicks. Fact is, this shit should have been fixed before Gen Y got here. If y'all old ass niggas had the answers, it would have been. Yet here it is, kids or not, most of y'all aren't even married. Put simply, all y'all can shut the fuck up, sit your asses down and drink some goddamn milk. As I've said multiple times now in different videos, Gen Y and Gen Z are on their own. This is even more so for Gen Y and Gen Z black men living in the Western world, be they domestic or import. Lastly, let this be a lesson to one and all. This video was about black men. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't care how old or young you are. If you are not black, then you really shouldn't have anything to say about this. Feel free to take this video and analyze your group, your camp, in terms of what was said here between the men and women of your race, your group, ethnicity, whatever. But as far as having anything to say about black men, if you're not black, you shouldn't. So that's it. And then also, as far as black people, well, let this be a lesson to anyone who is older than Gen Y. You all don't have shit to say to us. To black men specifically. No one older than Gen Y has anything to say about Gen Y or Gen Z black men. And of course, the Gen Y and Gen Z black women, they shouldn't have anything to say either, because again, as has been shown to the nth degree in this video, Gen Y and Gen Z black men had nothing to do with the way stuff is now. Nothing. So, in short, Gen Y and Gen Z black men, more or less all over the world, but, you know, okay, here in America and anywhere else, we're untouchable. We are, in fact, untouchable. Later.